All right, let's dive into this because it's a move that, on the surface, might seem like just another minor league deal. But personally, I think there's a lot more to unpack here. The Yankees signing Mitch Garver to a minor league contract? It's one of those under-the-radar moves that could actually have some interesting implications. Here's why I'm intrigued. First off, Mitch Garver isn't just any catcher. Yeah, he's 35, and yeah, his numbers this year with the Mariners were, let's say, underwhelming. But what many people don't realize is that Garver has had some seriously impressive stretches in his career. From 2019 to 2023, he was a powerhouse. We're talking 75 home runs in 1,242 plate appearances, a .250/.346/.508/ line, and a 131 WRC+. That's not just good. That's elite, especially for a catcher. Catchers, as we all know, aren't exactly known for their offensive prowess. So when one puts up numbers like that, it's a big deal. What this really suggests is that Garver has the potential to be a game changer if he can tap back into that form. But here's the thing. Garver's performance has dropped off significantly since 2024. His numbers this year? A .175/.302/.294 line with the Mariners. Ouch. And his strikeout rate? A whopping 32.9%. That's not the Garver we remember from a few years ago. So, the question is, can he bounce back? Personally, I think it's a long shot, but the Yankees clearly see something worth exploring. Maybe it's his track record, maybe it's his platoon splits. He's historically been better against lefties, which could be a factor here. But if you take a step back and think about it, this move feels like a low-risk, high-reward gamble for the Yankees. Now, let's talk about why the Yankees are even in this position. Austin Wells, their primary catcher, has been struggling at the plate this season. We're talking a .169/.268/.289 line. That's rough. And while the Yankees still value his other skills, his defense, his framing, they've made it clear that they need more offensive production from the catcher position. Brian Cashman himself acknowledged this publicly. So, bringing in Garver feels like a response to that need. But here's where it gets interesting. The Yankees were heavily linked to catchers like Ryan Jeffers and Tyler Stevenson ahead of the trade deadline. They came away empty-handed, which raises a deeper question. Why didn't they land a bigger name? Was it a lack of willingness to give up prospects, or did they just not find the right fit? Either way, settling for Garver feels like a consolation prize, but it's also a move that keeps their options open. One thing that immediately stands out is Garver's opt-out clause later this month. This isn't just a minor detail, it's a big deal. If Garver doesn't think he's getting a shot at the majors soon, he can walk away. That puts a bit of pressure on the Yankees to either promote him or let him go. From my perspective, this could be a win-win for Garver. If he performs well in Triple-A, he either gets called up or finds another opportunity elsewhere. But for the Yankees, it's a bit riskier. They're essentially betting that Garver can still be the player he was a few years ago, even if just in a limited role. What makes this really interesting is how it fits into the bigger picture for the Yankees. They've got Sánchez as their current backup, and he's been serviceable, but he's still relatively inexperienced with just 82 big league games. Garver, on the other hand, has a longer track record in those platoon splits I mentioned earlier. Even this year, he's hit lefties better than righties, which could make him a useful piece in certain matchups. But here's the kicker. The Yankees aren't just looking for a backup. They're looking for someone who can complement Wells and provide some offensive spark. Garver might not be the long-term solution, but he could be a short-term band-aid while they figure out their catching situation. If you ask me, this move is less about Garver and more about the Yankees' broader strategy. They're in a tough spot with their catching situation, and this feels like a stopgap measure. But it also shows that they're willing to take chances, even if it's on a player who's past his prime. In my opinion, this could be a smart move if Garver finds his old form, but it's also a move that could backfire if he continues to struggle. Either way, it's a fascinating development that's worth keeping an eye on. So what do you think? Is Garver the answer to the Yankees' catching woes, or is this just a temporary fix? Let me know in the comments below. And if you take a step back and think about it, this move really highlights the challenges teams face when trying to address mid-season weaknesses. It's not always about the big, splashy trades. Sometimes it's about taking calculated risks on players who still have something left in the tank. Personally, I'll be watching closely to see how this plays out. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more breakdowns like this.